Good afternoon, colleagues. Today and tomorrow we are at the annual extended cabinet Lekgotla that talks about the year, the plans for the year in terms of what are the priorities for the year and how we're going to fund those priorities. And in the morning we had a presentation from the Minister of Finance on the macroeconomic framework of the country. And the macroeconomic framework focused on, for instance, what are the things that we have noticed last year. For instance, the cost of borrowing for the government of South Africa has reduced drastically. When we started with the budget last year, we started with over 13% cost of borrowing. Today, as we sit, we are at 9%, showing that our fiscal prudence and fiscal management is strengthening. And the issues, that's what are we going to do. We've seen a year-on-year 2.1% growth on the GDP over the same period. And also we have seen in terms of the performance of the rand has stabilized. There are those who want to claim that it has stabilized because of the problems in the US. No, it has stabilized because of the fiscal management that the country is doing. So we have looked at that and said, then what becomes the fiscal envelope that we're going to then prioritize and fund. So we are discussing those type of things. We'll also discuss the industrial policy of the country to say, how do we, as part of this inclusive growth and development plan of the country, how do we drive, what is the industrial policy that will then be anchoring that growth plan. We're also going to then, you'll recall, we presented the implementation plan for inclusive economic growth and development in the country, what some of you named GAIN. We are going to then finalize the revised timelines for the implementation of that. We're also going to look at how do we drive the skills development of the country. Any economy that has to grow must grow based on the skills of the country, the skills base of the country, and we are looking at how do we readjust, and we are going to get a presentation from jointly the Department of Labor and Higher Education, or how do we utilize the current funding mechanisms and current platforms that we have on skills development, and how do we streamline them to be effective to drive that skills development that will also ensure employment of our young people. And also at the core of the discussion is that you cannot grow in an economy that is ravaged by crime and criminality. So we are going to have a presentation that is tomorrow around the strategy to deal with organized crime that is coming from the justice and security cluster, and so that we can deal with those issues. Some of the issues were articulated for the country at the Matlanga Commission, and how we're responding to deal with the various forms of organized crime, illicit cigarettes, illicit trade. In general, you'll recall that BAT has announced the closure of one of their manufacturing plants here because of they're complaining about the illicit cigarettes, in the prevalence of illicit cigarettes in the country, and the cost where those who are legally compliant have to deal with. So those are the discussions we're going to have, and also we'll have a conversation about what is the future of this country in dealing with the gender-based violence pandemic, and how do we mobilize society to deal with that sketch. So those are the things that the Cabinet Lekgotla will focus on, and this is we'll do this annually as we prepare for both the State of the Nation address that the President will deliver on the 12th of February, and also the budget that will come in, I think 7 days later or 14 days later, to present the budget of the country, so that we can all agree on the priorities of the year. Thank you.